Liverpool always do the best they can in these situations. I mean, I've seen reports, you're never sure exactly how it works, but that reports that of his last 2 years, they'll pay those to the family, but Liverpool will make sure that family's taken care of, whatever, as will the players, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't personally can't vouch for those reports. I have to admit, I've just completely kind of switched off over the weekend with anything kind of football based, really, because I just don't want to think about it or face it, really, if I'm being honest. And so I'm not entirely sure about that aspect of it. But as you say, I think they will kind of do the right thing and they will show the support, and you would expect that from Liverpool because they do act with class in situations like this, and I think that would be absolutely the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And this will sort of go on. Nothing's linear with this, people, but naturally there's a little things happening this week, and we try and, as people will say, move on, if that's even the right word. And you alluded to it there, David. I think, is it Tuesday? It seems to suggest that's been delayed. They'll come back and assess everything for them, won't they? But Tuesday's the day when they come back.
Yeah, and it's just going to be a kind of a crazy one, really, isn't it? Because I mean, they've all got to come back and they've all got work to do. They've all got to do the kind of bleep test or however they do it these days, or the lactate test, and get themselves, start to do the preparation. And it just doesn't. Yeah. It just seems laughable to be talking about this stuff as if this is in any way serious. But of course, we all have to, and we've all suffered losses, and we've all moved forward with our lives. We've all gone back to work the week after a funeral or whatever, and had to crack on with it, because that's what we do as human beings. That's how we have to live with these things, and it's absolutely terrible. But that's, life does go forward. It doesn't go forward in the same way. You never maybe feel right about it or whatever, but you've got to kind of keep putting kind of one foot in front of the other. And yeah, so the plan at the moment, I think, is to bring them back in on Tuesday, and then, but it will be a case of, as I say, case for case basis, who feels up for what, who feels able to do what's needed in that day, because they're just going to have to kind of, look after each other, really. And yeah, but that process, maybe it will help some of them, maybe it won't help others. We'll have to see, but that's currently the plan, and then we will see what will happen with the friendly that's scheduled in for the weekend, really.
I suppose in terms of that Preston game, which is scheduled for the weekend, is it just a case of Arne Slot sitting down with the players and having a big, open, honest discussion, isn't it? Feeling who's capable, do we think this is right, how do we want to do it, and go from there.
Yeah, and there will be no judgment of anyone who doesn't feel quite right, who needs a little bit more time. But footballers as well, though, that they generally, I think to get to where they are in the careers, you've got to have unbelievable resilience anyway. You've got to deal with setbacks, and you're talking about football in setbacks, but they hit you hard. So you do have to build up that kind of character and the strength of character. So I do wonder, and I just knowing football generally, I would imagine the majority of the squad will be of the mindset of, right, let's get stuck into our work and give us something to kind of focus on. And really, I can go and lift weights in the gym, I can do my running, because when you're doing that, you're not thinking about what has gone on, really, and you're not focusing on the negatives and the sadness, really. So I think knowing footballers, they will want to kind of just get stuck into it, really.
Yeah, sometimes even, and I don't know if this is the right word, but to try and focus for a distraction, however people would want to put it in that regard. And I mean, at the same time, there's changes at the club that we're hearing as well, isn't it? We know that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has been confirmed, and Xavi Valero's coming back in as a goalkeeping coach, isn't he? Which I don't know if it caught people by surprise before this, but just came out of nowhere a little bit.
Yeah, I really didn't expect a change in the goalkeeping department, if I'm being honest. I mean, obviously Fabianotta had only been there for a single season. Taffarel was an established part of that staff, so to have that change, a bit of a surprise. I would say with Valero, it seems a very smart appointment. You read up on him and how highly rated he was, and I think it says a lot that he kind of was there through a lot of managerial changes at West Ham, so highly regarded by every single manager that came in, really, after being brought there by Manuel Pellegrini. And obviously coming back to Liverpool, he is highly rated. He's a bit more experienced than Fabianotta as well, which maybe will have been a kind of a factor in that decision. but he also knows Liverpool and knows what he's coming back to. And he's actually coming back to a club that's in a much better position now. So, but obviously would have been absolutely happy to do that. So, looks a smart appointment. And then you throw in, of course, Van Bronckhorst as well, who, I've said before, I think it's a bit of a coup to get him. He's someone who's been managing most recently, and had a couple of disappointing experiences there, but generally he's won trophies, he's done okay, and got to European finals. So I think he's it seems like a really, really smart appointment, and that coaching staff is looking strong. But of course, like you say, in these kind of first few days when they come back, what a strange situation it is for them to come back into. Similarly for the new signings as well. This would usually be such a happy time and an exciting time for them, and they're coming into a really tricky situation. And obviously it's not the first thing you think about in this situation, but for them, particular players who are coming from abroad and they're in a settling in period, this will make it more difficult for them. So I do, like I say, it's not the most difficult part of this, but I do feel for them a little bit around this. And again, just hope the players have got the emotional range and the capability to try and help them settle in with everything else that they're dealing with at the moment, because it's just very, very tricky for everyone, really.
Yeah, you're right. It is understandable that the likes of Kirkers, Frimpong, Wirtz, etc., they'll be thinking, like, how do we react? How are we supposed to be in this situation during that adaptation period? So, everyone's just, I suppose, got to help each other. And with the backroom changes, and especially the two departures, there was always the sense of when Taffarel left the club, there'd be question marks around Alisson, wasn't there? So does that just seem like, is there anything that people will be thinking about there, or is it just that maybe it's the time?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I couldn't get a kind of clear answer about what that kind of means for Alisson when I asked a few days ago, really. But I don't think they're that tightly tied to each other in terms of the fates. And just reading between the lines on Liverpool's statement, because as I say, it's very difficult to dig into the story. I've just been completely switched off from it all, really, since Thursday, if I'm being completely honest. But reading between the lines on the statement there, it just felt like it was Taffarel's decision to kind of move on. And I think with Alisson, yes, he is tied to him, but I think there's a very strong possibility of you've got a Spanish-speaking coach coming in there in Xavi Valero, someone who knows the club, someone who will make it. I know obviously he's Portuguese speaking, but you can kind of get by, and there's that mutual understanding and cultural similarities there or whatever. So I'm sure he will be, he will work well for him. And I don't think it's the case that Taffarel's gone, Alisson will have to go now. I just think it's going to be a case of I still think over the next couple of seasons his future is definitely up in the air, isn't it? But I still would put good money on him being in the Liverpool squad next season. I'd be surprised if he moves on, because we haven't heard any kind of rumours around that or anything. So I still am of the mindset that maybe at least one more season and then we see where we're up to.
Yeah, absolutely. And for this pod, ladies and gents, what we said at the start before, me and David, it's not the day to talk transfers. It feels wrong. It feels hollow to even start to speculate on those stories. This is not the right time. This is about Liverpool and the players themselves, the club as a whole, the fan base. And just because I know we've had messages at Anfield Index saying about, obviously, that sometimes just hearing a pod does bring a crumb of comfort that way. There's been a few different things that Liverpool have started to release this on the website as well. Actually, a few expert views. They've always got their own analysts or people that they recognise. I don't know if you'd seen these or you'd made anything of them at all for the Kirkets and Wirtz ones.
Yeah, good insights into the players, really, and what they can bring to Liverpool. And it kind of seems crazy to talk about it, doesn't it? But these games are coming. We're going to get a look at these players, and the season's going to start. Next month the season starts. Again, crazy to think about it, really. But we're going to get a glimpse of these players, and for all the sadness at the moment, there's something to kind of look forward to in that there will be moments of joy ahead and enjoyable football. And Liverpool have put together a very, very good team again, and that we all do love football and we love Liverpool, and so that's going to be exciting to kind of see that, really. So looking forward to seeing these two players really, and seeing how they fit in and how they make Liverpool better, because there's a good chance that they will be able to do that, and that is very much the aim. So yeah, we could and we can allow ourselves to be excited about that and to look forward to seeing them. Because there's joy in football, and the reason that that's why we feel so sad about what's happened, because of all the joy that Diogo Jota brought us. So we shouldn't feel guilty about that. And I guess it's kind of interesting just to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. I'm kind of again, it's from a personal point of view, as a freelancer, as a kind of a content creator, if you want to call it. You don't know when's appropriate to start thinking about or talking about these things, and everyone will maybe have a different view on that or whatever. Is it tomorrow when they start preseason? Is it? I don't know what the answer is. Maybe people in the comments can tell us. I don't know, but you've got to probably kind of do what's right for you in terms of these things. And I don't know how to approach that really, but we probably shouldn't forget that there are positives to hold on to, which is that the football will be back, and we will smile and we will enjoy it and we will love it. And it won't just all be in the context of the loss that we've suffered. It will be, we'll be able to look at it differently, and we should be excited about that, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. It's absolutely a tough one, and there is absolutely no exact answer. As Cal Joe says there, that the club will set the pace and go along with it. And ultimately that feels a lot of what it comes down to, doesn't it? How it affects the players, the staff. As you said, we saw like the medical staff who were in bits, understandably, at the funeral and the wake. We've just got to, as a fan base, just almost wrap our arms around them and just go with that, haven't we? Support them as best as possible and keep going.
Yeah, and there's good. I mean, these friendlies. I mean, if the one, I really don't know about the one at the weekend, but if that goes ahead, I think that's going to be an unbelievable show of support and emotion. And these moments will help the players. They'll also make it harder for them at times, I guess. To hear "You'll Never Walk Alone" sung the next time is going to be something incredibly emotional, really. So, and all the tributes that we'll see, the flags, the banners, everything else. The singing of Diogo's song, which is going to be inevitable. But that's going to be the opportunities to come together and mourn together and grieve. And so you just got to kind of embrace that. And I guess, that's probably one of the reasons actually we would like to see the Preston game go ahead, I think, is because I think, that first opportunity to do that for everyone to get together, because of course the game after that is on tour, and so there won't be that chance. So, maybe this will be a nice chance, but of course, like you say, take the guidance from the club and whatever's right for the players and the staff, of course. They are the absolute priority in this situation. But it would almost be nice to have that game, to just for that reason, really, to have everyone come together and be able to kind of express what this means, really. So we will see what comes of when they meet up on Tuesday and they have conversations amongst themselves, really, about whether the players and the staff do feel right for it to go ahead. But if it does, it'll be, I think it's going to be a pretty special, but maybe pretty difficult atmosphere at Preston as well, where a lot of tears, but a lot of singing of songs, and "You'll Never Walk Alone," and a lot of emotion as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a tough time, ladies and gents, and all we can really say is if we provided any sort of crumb of comfort, a degree of solace just from the podcast listening to us, we hope that helps in some way. And it was a tough one for both of us, but all it really leaves me to say is, David, for the time, insight, and for coming on. Obviously, it's not the easiest circumstances. It is much appreciated.
No, thank you, mate. Thank you.
And ladies and gents, that was a Media Matters special for Anfield Index.